Oh baby, guess what's back on the menu, folks? Yes, that's right, we're going over a name that has been linked to the Montreal Canadiens for ages, and it's almost like the Winnipeg Jets doing as well as they have been doing has sort of been a mask to this entire discussion, but leave it to Nick Kypreos, who made an appearance on Tim and Friends yesterday, preceding the Montreal Canadiens' whooping of the Winnipeg Jets, to fill us in on the status update, give us just an overall perspective based off of what he's hearing on national TV, by the way, so this was a pretty mainstream type of thing, as to what the Winnipeg Jets' future holds in regards to center Pierre-Luc Dubois. Now, as we had said yesterday, the Winnipeg Jets lost to the Canadiens. It was a good win by Montreal. You saw the Dadonov show coming back out to life. Good for him for boosting his trade value. I know a lot of Canadiens fans might say, no, we don't want to see the team win. We want Bedard, and that's very fair. More than fair, in fact. But the reason we're making this video here today is because before the Jets and the Habs game, you had Tim McAuliffe and Nick Kypreos on Tim and Friends talking about Pierre-Luc Dubois and discussing the whole situation there. McAuliffe opens up the segment by talking about how Dubois is having a really good year, 49 points in 44 games played heading into the Canadiens game. 20 goals, 29 assists, on pace for 91 points on the season. He is on pace to having a really stellar career season with the Jets. He's never been a point per game before, but this year could be the year that changes it all. He's 24 years old right now, 6'3", 218 as a left-handed center. He's been playing extraordinarily well for the Winnipeg Jets, but Tim McAuliffe goes out there and asks Kipper, hey, there were rumors linking this guy to the Montreal Canadiens earlier I don't want to say last offseason. I want to say, consistently throughout the past few years, Dubois and the Habs has been a thing. We've made so many videos about this idea over here. But Tim pretty much asks Kipper, is there any reason to believe that there is smoke to the idea that Dubois does not want to stick around in Winnipeg? And Kypreos replies with an emphatic, not just fire, but ablaze. It's absolutely inferno over here. It's not smoke or fire, it is fully ablaze that, according to his sources, Pierre-Luc Dubois does not want to stick around in the Winnipeg Jets organization long term. Now, there's the video link in the description if you want to go ahead and watch the Tim and Friends segment. It's only a minute something long, but it pretty much goes over everything you need to know based off of what Kypreos is hearing. But when it comes to Dubois and his contract, the guy's making $6 million a season for 1 year. That's it. The contract expires at the end of 2022-2023, although it does expire as an RFA. Now, there were some conversations that we had brought up on YouTube videos in the past discussing the idea as to whether or not Pierre-Luc Dubois is going to sign short-term deals continuously until he gets to UFA status, and at which point he is going to yeet off to Montreal and leave whatever team he is on. Kypreos, on this Tim and Friends segment, doesn't say anything that would dismiss this idea from still being a possibility. He says that, from his sources, Dubois doesn't want to stick around in Winnipeg, and there isn't anything the Jets can do to make him change his mind. Even if the Winnipeg Jets win a Stanley Cup, he says that there's no guarantee that Dubois is going to go out there and waver in his position. There also was another idea that was mentioned on this video hit, that if the Winnipeg Jets were not great this season, if you assume that they were, let's say, in the wild card race or something on the outside looking in, Pierre-Luc Dubois would have been like a Bo Horvat in this year's trade market. He would have been discussed at being traded at any given point because other teams would be calling about this guy, and it would be very clear that his long-term future wouldn't be in Winnipeg. Kypreos pretty much says because the Jets are winning and because they're in a playoff hunt, not even playoff race, they are in the hunt, full stop. Because they're right there and they're that good, this entire Dubois trade thing isn't really a thing because everyone looks at Winnipeg and says, okay, well, the guy's expiring as an RFA. That's fine, but he's still doing really well and the team's doing really well, so there's no need to talk about a trade. I found it very interesting that Kypreos noted that specific element of the entire conversation, saying that if Dubois was on a worse team, this would be like Bo Horvat number 2. He would be a trade chip in the eyes of many NHL analysts and GMs, but I guess right now, because Winnipeg is good, that's not a thing. Either way, though, I wanted to entertain the idea of Montreal getting Dubois once again because, we gotta make a video like this every few months, or At least in last summer's case, I believe it was like every few days, pretty much, because there was so much conversation about this. Like, remember all the stuff with the draft? Last year, 2022 draft in Montreal, reports came out that Dubois was at the event because he was expecting to get traded to the Habs, and he wanted to be there and, like, wave to the fans when that would have been announced. Like, that is so crazy that an idea like that was even thrown out there into the media. Not by me, somebody else said it, that's why we made a video about it. And I believe Dubois had to, like, clarify to the media afterwards, saying, hey, like, the draft is in my hometown. Like, I lived so close to the arena. Of course I'm gonna show up. Like, I'm not there because I think I'm gonna get traded to the Habs, but somebody went out there. That report was indeed put out into the universe, and we did make a video about it. But aside from just that individual part of it itself, there were so many other conversations we had about Dubois and the Habs. Not even when Dubois was a Winnipeg Jet, but before all of this crap. When Dubois was a Blue Jacket, and there was all the stuff about him wanting to leave and everything, there was always this idea in the back of our minds that Montreal might be the team. And we always kind of knew that Montreal was sort of in that mix as well. You remember when Pierre-Luc Dubois was initially drafted in the 3rd overall spot by the Columbus Blue Jackets in 2016. We had rumors saying that if Dubois ended up falling to 5th overall, where Vancouver was picking, the Canucks would have traded that 5th overall pick to Montreal in order for Montreal to select Pierre-Luc Dubois, and the Canucks would have received PK Subban instead. Like, that's a video we had made a long time ago. You know, it's been so long, I feel like I kind of want to remake that video, especially with all the stuff with PK Subban and how great his career has gone ever since. But either way, Pierre-Luc Dubois in Montreal has been a link for ages. It's just, with this entire thing now, you talk about Winnipeg and how he doesn't want to stay there, it kind of aligns with everything else that we had seen in Dubois' career leading up to this point. We had talked about how in his junior career, he didn't want to play for the team he was on. He pretty much tanked his value, forced the team he was on to trade him, and he got sent over to a new QMJHL team for a lesser return because he was just so lackadaisical before getting traded. In Columbus, he also didn't want to stick around there either. He got traded for Patrick Laine. Now in Winnipeg, same thing. Not necessarily that he wants out or that he wants a trade or whatever, it's just he's not seeing himself sticking around with this team long term. I don't know any other players off the top of my head where we had rumors saying that, oh, he's going to sign small bridge deal after small bridge deal after small bridge deal in order to work himself up to UFA status and just go wherever it is he wants to go. And sure, if he really just wants to play in Montreal, all the power to him. However, if you're the Canadiens and you know this, like everyone on Earth seems to have known this, there's no reason for the Canadiens to even make a trade. There's no reason at all because they have all the power here. Okay, we know your guy wants to come to us, so why would we give you good assets to get that guy? He's just gonna leave you and come to us at the end of the day. Like, we know this is gonna happen. It's so similar to the Adam Fox situation. He bounced around from Calgary to Carolina to New York, and he only bounced around several times before New York because other teams were trying to get him to sign with them, only for him to say, no, I want to sign in New York. Like, I was not drafted by New York, but I want to go there because I'm from there and I want to be there. And it worked, and now he's one of the best young defensemen in the entire NHL. Now, I feel like there's a certain level of status, like, not just any bum can go out there and do something like that and get away with it. I feel like you actually have to be a good enough player to justify naming your own location, because at the end of the day, you know, if you're just some bottom line AHL tweener that's not really all too great, you kind of just have to take any opportunity that you can get, right? But if you're a point-per-game guy like Pierre-Luc Dubois, and you really specifically only want to go to a place like Montreal, then who's going to stop you? Is Montreal going to say no? Why would they say no to that? This also opens up the door to other conversations. Okay, what's going to happen with Dvorak? What's going to happen with the rest of the center core? Do you play Doc as a center? Dubois, Doc? You want to have Suzuki out there too? You want to talk about 3rd overall guys coming in and out as centers on the Canadiens? Kotkaniemi, Doc, Drouin. Okay, center, I don't really know. And then you have Dubois too? This is a very strange conversation to be having once again, but because it was mentioned on Tim McAuliffe's show, Tim and Friends, I almost said Tim and Sid, so yeah, man, Sid Sixero, I miss that guy on Sportsnet, not gonna lie. But because it was mentioned there, I thought I would bring it up here. Video is going to be linked in the description if you want to watch the segment. It's on Twitter, so it's easily accessible. But let me know in the comments all your thoughts about this idea. Pierre-Luc Dubois eventually becoming a UFA after signing maybe a short bridge deal once again, and yeeting off to Montreal because he doesn't want to stay long-term with the Jets. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.